Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Conscious Courage podcast. I'm too hyped to have you here, especially on this sing it with me, motivational Monday. Let's go. I am your host, Davone'a Tashae. Every week we meet here together to dive into empowering topics that will foster our journey toward self-healing as well as growth, or what I like to call internal glow up. Yes, you are an IGU baby, okay? Whether you're here for the first time, congratulations, you're an IGU baby, or returning, I thank you for joining and listening in. If you don't want to miss an episode, go ahead and subscribe, okay? Go ahead and do that. Hit the bell to ensure you receive notifications. Who knows, I might do a surprise upload on you. All right, I like surprises, therefore I like to give surprises. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and dive on into today's topic. As a reminder, this month, April 2024, we are diving into preparing our mind for birth, the birth of new beginnings. That means nothing is holding us back. Today's topic in particular is cultivating resilience. Looky here. You might hear in my voice, your girl all stuffed up, all right? Let's nip that in the bud immediately. I have a sinus infection or something of the sorts that had me down. Almost thought of not recording, but resilience, baby. I'm coming to you. I'm bringing you energy that I kind of don't have. All right. Looking good, smelling like perfume and Vicks, but I'm here. Okay. And that is the purpose of today's episode. Again, it's cultivating resilience. It's having that bounce back, that adaptability in the face of hard times. Now, that was my definition of resilience. For something a little more official, resilience can be defined as the ability to bounce back from setbacks, adversity, or challenges with strength as well as adaptability. Please go out there, Google resilience, Webster Dictionary it for yourself, whatever it is, and come up with a definition that truly resonates with you. All right, let's go ahead and dive into 6 examples of real life scenarios where resilience is a tool you will need to pull out of your tool belt. The first topic is grief. Following the loss of loved ones, you can cultivate resilience by seeking support from family, friends, engaging in grief counseling, and finding solace in faith or spiritual practices that navigate the grieving process with strength and hope. I have not attended grief counseling. However, I have a loved one, a friend of mine who has, and so I reached out to him and got some information. We didn't come on camera, okay? He wasn't for the camera, but he was definitely all for giving me his perspective and his insight that I want to share with you all today. For my friend, he lost his father and several months later went ahead and joined grief counseling. Quick background on my friend. Unfortunately, he lost his father to an illness and eventually went out and enrolled in grief counseling. So I will share with you some of the nuggets, his experience, and some words of encouragement that he wanted to leave with you all today. Grief counseling may or may not be for everyone, and grief is different for everyone. No one can tell you how to grieve. A benefit for him was it was an unbiased outlet. See, when he's around his family and his friends, everyone is there to console him. Sorry for your loss. Sorry for your loss. But those words were empty. These are not his words, right? This is my interpretation in which those words were not giving him what he needed at that moment or in this time. They were to console him and lift him up. However, it wasn't doing that for him. Now, what attending grief counseling did, it showed him how to look at the positive. And you may be wondering, well, what's positive about grief or losing a loved one? Let me explain it to you, okay? This is the example that he gave. Attending counseling, and he is a believer of God. I already told y'all, okay? Your girl's going to bring in scripture, baby. Stay tuned. We have some scripture coming up. What grief counseling allowed him to do is celebrate the years that God allowed him to have with his father, opposed to looking at the years that he will no longer have. That was one example. Another example is when he is grieving, saddened, burdened, down as he thinks about his father passing on, what grief counseling allowed him to do was give him tools to say, okay, in this moment I am sad. Let me reflect on the good times. Let me look at life and say, okay, yes, my father isn't here, but remember that time when we all went and had the family barbecue or had the family reunion, or on Thanksgiving when I was frying the turkey or dad was teaching me how to fry the turkey, etc. So what grief counseling did was gave him the courage to look at the happy days, the brighter days in those moments of being sad, to shift his focus or reframe, as we spoke about in episode 2. He said this here, that life is nothing but experiences. So when you're sad, think about the good times, think about those good experiences. And I really wanted to capture that because I thought that was so full and whole. Another example that grief counseling, or another way that grief counseling provided him a different outlook during his time of grieving, which we will grieve the entire duration of life, that is a part of life, is looking at, in this case, his father is no longer in pain. For someone out there who's listening in or watching me, you may have a loved one that is in their last days of whatever the illness is, terminal illness is, or other viruses, diseases, and they're in so much pain. And what grief counseling allowed him to do was celebrate, my father is free of that pain. Someone watching this here may have the financial burden, or there may be a financial burden put on the member, the loved one that is enduring this pain. And yes, that person is no longer with you, or that person is in the last days. And as they go forth and they pass on, they no longer have the worry. They no longer have the burden. They're no longer in pain. So these are some of the areas that he was able to work through with his counselor, simply to share some of the tools that you can garner when attending grief counseling, and how you can continuously process the grieving process with an unbiased outlet and with someone that can assist in unpacking everything that you are experiencing in this moment and for the duration of your life. Additionally, he shared, and I want to make sure I capture this, that he learned to capitalize on every moment with an individual, with a person, friend, or loved one, because you never know if that encounter may be your last one. You do not want to live a life of I wish, because every conversation can be the last. He said you want to enjoy life with the people that are in your life. By that way, should something happen, or when it does happen, you can look back, reflect, and say, I got everything out that I wanted to say. We did everything that we wanted to do. I will always miss this person physically, because I cannot call them, I cannot spend time with them. But I know that when that day comes, when he passes, they will meet again. And there's a scripture that I want to share with you in relation to being absent from the body, but I'll share that later on in this episode, because there are 2 more points that I want to touch on that he shared, and they were just so full. First point is the weight that you feel when you are walking in life with grief, yet everyone around you who is not in grief, they're still celebrating, they're still happy, and you have to find the balance of being present in that moment when really you may want to break down. You might be broken on the inside. He said it this way: how to continue to function in a world that is not carrying the weight of grief. Grief counseling allowed him to pause the world, for 30 minutes to an hour and a half to 2 hours, which allowed him to cleanse his mind, body, and soul, and then present himself in the real world, being able to balance being alive when a part of you is dead on the inside. That was profound to me. And the last point that he mentioned was attending grief counseling allowed a balance of life, grief, and reality. That might look different for you, but I want to give you the resource of grief counseling. Because if you are in this predicament right now in life, there is a source for you. I'll have some additional resources I'll give at the end of this episode. Moving into my second example, and that is divorce. Amidst the challenges of divorce, you can cultivate resilience by focusing on self-care and personal growth. Surrounding yourself with a supportive community and embracing opportunities for healing while renewal and navigating through the transition from partnership to now divorce. Again, I like to provide you with practical steps, of course, that I will provide at the end of this episode, but I also wanted to give you real life examples that I can't speak of, but loved ones can. So I reached out to a dear friend of mine that I consider more like a sister, and she's always been extremely transparent with me. And I asked her, what advice would she give to someone embarking a divorce? And she said, the advice I would give is to lean heavily on the support system that has already been established, such as friends and family, faith in God. Yes, baby, we believers over here. Also, immediately start counseling and consistently involving yourself with a self-care routine to make sure that you do not go into a dark place. Example number 3 is rejection from medical school or any educational institute. After facing rejection from medical school or any other educational institute, you can cultivate resilience by reframing setbacks as opportunities for growth, seeking feedback to improve future applications, and exploring alternative paths or opportunities in the medical field to pursue your passion for healthcare. This is also applicable to other educational institutes. I applied for a PhD programs in clinical psychology. I received an interview. I was not selected for the higher education or the doctoral programs, but I did not allow that to hinder me. I asked for feedback. I realized, hey, I don't have the hands-on experience that they are looking for. Also, I had some biases that came out during the interview that I needed to work through and work on as well as acknowledge. I went ahead, I reset, and I applied for the master programs, and therefore, hey, your girl is now in a master's program for mental health clinical counseling, and that's okay. For someone who is applying to medical school and it didn't work the first time around, or maybe you made it through medical school but you were not matched the first time around, don't lose hope. Get the feedback necessary. If you were not accepted into medical school in the States, never forget you can apply for the medical schools that are abroad. Also, if you were not matched initially, get to the grind, get the feedback, work, and get back after it. Don't allow a no to hold you back. Example number 4, rejection from a new job. In the face of job rejection, cultivate resilience by maintaining a positive mindset, continuing to network and explore new opportunities, and viewing each setback as a stepping stone towards finding the right fit for your skills and talents. I like to call rejection baby God's direction or God's protection. But also you can look at rejection simply as a moment where you can learn and apply what it is that you've learned and seek something else. Maybe it wasn't meant for you to get that particular job. What if I know a woman who was fired from her job and she had to bet on herself, and now she has a successful nonprofit business. So in that job's rejection of her, it allowed her to put the work in toward herself, her own goals, dreams, and visions. And now she is seeing the fruit of her labor. So beautiful. Okay, y'all, 2 more. The fifth example is overcoming imposter syndrome. A way that you can combat imposter syndrome is by acknowledging your previous accomplishments, your strengths, and seeking mentorship as well as support from trusted circles. Ensure that you are looking at reframing your mind, as I spoke about in episode 2, in order to uproot any self-doubt, but also acknowledging and being patient with yourself and recognizing that self-doubt is a part of growth as well as learning rather than a reflection of inadequacy. Okay, y'all, here is our sixth example and the final example before we get into a guided meditation, and also, we're gonna have to conclude with those practical steps. All right, so example number 6 is doing it when you don't feel like it. Cultivate resilience by focusing on your long-term goals and values, breaking tasks into smaller tasks, manageable steps, and drawing on discipline and commitment to take action even when motivation is lacking or you're under the weather. Knowing the consistency breeds progress and resilience. Okay, y'all, we've reached a point where I will set some time aside to go through a guided exercise. I refer to it as a meditation, where we're going to woo-sah. Just take some time, okay, rub the ears, and we're going to woo-sah. And I don't know, should I have said that, y'all? I don't know if that's trademarked. All right, so go ahead and prepare yourself. Take a moment, okay? Find a comfortable position, whether you are sitting or lying down, and gently close your eyes. If you are listening to me while you're driving, baby, do not close your eyes. Do not let your seat back, okay? You can come back to this episode when you're in a comfortable position or a place where you can find a comfortable position. So I'll just give you a little bit of time. So let's begin by taking a deep breath in through your nose. Ensuring that you fill your lungs completely, and exhale slowly through your mouth. As you breathe, allow your body to relax, releasing any tension you may be holding on to. Let's do that one more time. Inhale through your nose, filling your lungs completely. Now exhale through your mouth. I want you to bring your attention to a topic or an area of your life that you would like to explore during this time of reflection. That could be one of the areas I discussed: grief, rejection, or any other areas that are pertinent to you right now. It could be a career decision, a personal goal, a relationship, divorce. As you think about this topic, notice any thoughts that arise. Are there any recurring patterns or beliefs that surface? Take a moment to acknowledge them without judgment. Next, shift your focus to your emotions. How do you feel when you think about this topic? Are there any emotions that stand out to you? Allow yourself to fully experience these feelings, knowing that it's okay to feel whatever you're feeling right now. Now, consider how your thoughts and emotions may be influencing each other. Are your thoughts driving your emotions? Are your emotions shaping your thoughts? Reflect on the interplay between the two. If you want a better understanding of what I mean, go back to episode 2 in regards to reframing your mind. Now let's take another deep breath in. And as you exhale, imagine letting go of any thoughts or emotions that no longer serve you in relation to this topic. Allow yourself to create space for new insights and perspectives to emerge. Now gently bring your awareness back to the present moment. Wiggle your fingers and your toes, and when you're ready, slowly open your eyes. I pray that moment for you and self-reflection allowed you to build up your tool belt in the area of resilience as you supplant the energy and the emotions tied to the topic you chose with energy and emotions as well as thoughts that cultivate hope, strength, and uplift you. With that being said, it's time for our 3 practical steps. Our first step is acknowledging and process emotions through grief. Allow yourself to acknowledge and express your emotions related to grief. You can do that through journaling or reaching out to those supporting networks, your family, your friends, your church family, don't forget, looking at ways to enroll in grief counseling and engaging in self-compassion practices. You can also draw strength from Psalms chapter 34, verse 18, which reads, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." This can remind you of our comforter, our redeemer, our waymaker, and everything that he does is done in his perfect timing. And we should not ever lean to our own understanding, but acknowledge him in all of our ways. An example is specific to guidance after divorce. Don't forget to reach out to your support system. You are not alone. You have family, you have friends, you have your church family. Navigate the emotional complexities of divorce and consider counseling or therapy to process through your feelings of grief and loss. You can draw strength from Isaiah 41. You can draw strength from Isaiah chapter 41, verse 10, which encourages you not to fear because God is with you, reminding you of God's faithfulness and provision in times of uncertainty. You can also draw strength from Isaiah 41 and 10, which reads, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." The third practical step is reframing setback and pursuing persistence after rejection. Looking at that cognitive reframing that I talked about in episode 2. You want to reframe your thoughts, especially the negative, challenging thoughts, toward that area of rejection and viewing setbacks as opportunities for growth and learning. Be specific and set specific, achievable goals for self-improvement to continue to pursue your aspirations with persistence. Also, that will help to build up your courage. You can draw strength from Proverbs chapter 24, verse 16, that reads, "Though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again." The next scripture I provide you with is in regards to grief, and I spoke about it earlier on saying, hey, there's a scripture that I want to read a little later on toward the end of the episode. This is that scripture. Y'all get your Bibles ready, okay? 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 6. "Therefore we are always confident, knowing that though we are at home in the body, we are absent from the Lord. For we walk by faith, not by sight." Verse 8, "We are confident, I say, and willing rather to be absent from the body and to be present with the Lord." Verse 9, "Wherefore we labor, that whether present or absent, we may be accepted of him." Verse 10, "For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, that everyone may receive the things done in his body, according to that he hath done, whether it be good or bad." I leave that with you in regards to grief because, in simple term, what that scripture is saying is to be absent from the body is to be present with God. The ultimate goal is not to be present before him on judgment and cast out, but to be present before him and be welcomed and ushered in to heaven. So ensure that your actions here on earth are those in accordance with the basic instructions before leaving earth, the Bible, so that you get a "well done, my good and faithful servant." All right, y'all. Thank you for listening in to this episode. I told you there are some resources I wanted to give you before we get into the outro, and I am a woman of my word. So prepare yourself for some resources. I do not have any relationship with the resources I provide you with. Okay, do your research yourself. Reach out first and foremost to your church family. But here are some other resources for you. There's the National Helpline for Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. Their number is 1-800-662-4357. For anyone that could battle suicidal thoughts in relation to loss, in relation to rejection, maybe your resilience belt has not been built up yet, you can reach out to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255. Everyone grieves differently, Everyone experiences life differently in regards to rejection, in regards to divorce, etc. That's why I wanted to provide you with this episode of Cultivating Resilience and providing you with those practical steps as well as examples and real life examples from survivors of divorce and from someone learning to live life while still grieving the loss of a loved one. All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Conscious Courage Podcast. If you enjoyed today's discussion and you want to continue this journey together, be sure to subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, share with at least 3 to 5 people. I mean, it's only 4 things I'm asking. That's it. I'm just asking for 4 things, okay? Until next time, stay courageous, conscious, and keep glowing from within. Remember, it takes courage to be conscious, and courage is the key to conscious living. I love you all, and I'll see you next week. Disclaimer: as a content creator with a background in psychology and ongoing studies in mental health at the graduate level, it's important to clarify that I am not a licensed professional. The videos and podcasts I produce are intended for educational, entertainment, and transformational purposes only. While I strive to provide accurate information and insight, it's essential to consult with a licensed mental health professional for clinical perspectives and personalized advice tailored to your specific needs. Your mental well-being is of utmost importance to me, and seeking your guidance from a qualified provider is encouraged for any concerns or issues that you may be experiencing.